It's Monday, June the 14th, 2010. This is The Alex Jones Show. I'm Paul Joseph Watson, the editor and writer for PrisonPlanet.com, sitting in for Alex while he's out of town working on a project. And we're going to go to your calls at the bottom of the hour, so get lined up on the boards and we'll get to you in the second half of this first hour. In the aftermath of my sit-in in the 3 hours after I finish here, we've got a compilation of outstanding interviews which Alex has done over the past couple of weeks, including Jesse Ventura and Alan Hart. So be sure to stay tuned for that if you missed it the first time around. Now, in anticipation of Chris Matthews and MSNBC airing this huge hit piece on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, The Rise of the New Right, we're going to take an in-depth look at how, while smearing peaceful grassroots American citizens and anti-big government protesters, anti-bailout protesters, as domestic terrorists and racist radicals, simply for opposing the growth of big government and being vocal about it, and the tyranny that comes with it, Matthews has concurrently been running defense for a real domestic terrorist, and the man who helped launch Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro's political career in his living room. I refer, of course, to Bill Ayers, former leader of the violent communist revolutionary terrorist organization, the Weather Underground, a group that carried out bombings against government buildings, the State Department, the Pentagon, the Capitol building, to name but three. And this demonization of grassroots political activists is, while in reality, while in the MSNBC and the corporate media are saying that there's this new frontier of hate and that there's this violent extremism that is coming from the, quote, right-wingers, in reality, the only violence is coming from zealous Obama supporters, the Obamanoids. And this ties into a big story that's doing the rounds today, which comes from biggovernment.com, and we'll be posting this very shortly on prisonplanet.com and infowars.com. And this is Democrat Congressman Bob Etheridge assaulting students who ask him merely if he supports the Obama agenda after a Nancy Pelosi event at which she was speaking. So we'll play this clip now for prisonplanet.tv viewers, and radio listeners will be able to hear it too. So we go to this clip of Bob Etheridge.
Hi, Congressman. How are you? Do you fully support the Obama agenda?
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
So the clip continues after that. Perhaps we'll play the full clip later, but it's only a minute long. And it's basically this congressman, he's walking down the street. You'll be able to see it on prisonplanet.com. These student reporters ask him if he supports the Obama agenda. And he immediately starts assaulting them, assaulting their camera. He actually grabs one of them round the neck and goes into a kind of mini half Nelson on him. And then he obviously repeats this moronic, zombified statement, "Who are you? Who are you?" So it's yet another example of, you know, while the mainstream media criticises any opposition to the government as a new frontier of violent extremism, the only violence is coming from pro-Obama goons like this congressman and Obama's own supporters. So we'll be back after the break to delve into that further on The Alex Jones Show with me, Paul Joseph Watson. Stay tuned. This is The Alex Jones Show with me, your sitting host, Paul Joseph Watson, while Alex is away working on a project. Now, as we were discussing before the break, while Chris Matthews and MSNBC are preparing to smear grassroots Americans as violent radicals with this upcoming hit piece, The Rise of the New Right, which airs on MSNBC this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Democratic congressman actually physically assaulting reporters who were merely walking down the street asking this congressman if he supports the Obama agenda. Now, this mirrors what we reported on last week, which was at this anti-bailout protest in North Carolina, where you had this Obamanoid goon descend on the protest and start an argument with the protesters about who was to blame for the financial crisis. And of course, as those of you who have seen the video will know, and YouTube actually scrubbed, deleted, memory hold the video shortly after we posted that article last week. It has since re-emerged. But it shows this Obamanoid activist landing a left hook on this anti-bailout protester who's protesting against big government. So again, and we've documented many other examples which were in the article, while the media is smearing so-called right-wingers, which in reality are just grassroots libertarians, independents, conservatives across the board, as dangerous radicals who are a physical threat, and their free speech represents a threat to the federal government, smearing them as violent radicals and extremists, the only violence is coming from these Obamanoids and these Democratic congressmen that support Obama's agenda. So we've got this hit piece coming up on Wednesday. We got the leaked script last week from a concerned MSNBC staffer. Now, just to understand this, Alex Jones went into this interview. He initially thought he would be interviewed by Chris Matthews, but they sent the production team from MSNBC to interview Alex, and they gave him their word that this would be a balanced and fair biography of the growth of the anti-big government movement. And yet, we received the transcript, we went through it, and it became clear that MSNBC, once again, had resorted to exercising the same tired old cliches about how anyone who criticises the federal government is basically a dangerous, radical, neo-Nazi racist. They compare them to these obscure radio hosts in the 30s who supported Hitler. So they're smearing us as racists, radicals who probably want to kill people. You had the quote from the Southern Poverty Law Centre individual Mark Potak, who said that not Alex Jones, let's be fair, but Alex Jones's listeners want to go on killing sprees. Now, I've been working for Alex for about 8 years, and I've never talked to, received an email or met an Alex Jones listener who wants to go on a killing spree. Now, you had the Poplawski thing, which was a complete smear. The Pittsburgh cop killer, he actually hated Alex Jones. He left messages on our website, which we found, where he stated that he opposed Alex Jones's peaceful message. Several publications had to retract that, but it's still repeated ad infinitum, even though it's been debunked over and over again. So we're going to get the same kind of rhetoric with this Rise of the New Right hit piece that's coming up on Wednesday, which is unsurprising given the fact that Matthews, and certainly MSNBC as a whole, have made a habit out of portraying Tea Party members, Second Amendment activists, and basically anyone who stands up against big government as part of a new frontier of violent extremism. But for me, and I've been researching this for an article which is going to go up on prisonplanet.com later today, Matthews' agenda-driven bias is exposed fundamentally with no better a comparison than how he, Matthews, Chris Matthews, during an interview with Bill Ayers, the domestic terrorist, the leader of the Weather Underground who bombed government buildings in the 70s, basically acted as an apologist for Ayers' terrorist past, and indeed found common ground with Ayers in other areas of US government policy, both domestic and geopolitical. Now, this is important because, according to former FBI agent Larry Grathwohl, who was assigned to infiltrate the Weather Underground as a double agent, he actually infiltrated their central committee where Bill Ayers was giving out the orders. He discovered that the Weather Underground were bombing the Pentagon, the State Department, and the Capitol Hill building as part of an attempt to cause the collapse of the United States government and open the door for Chinese and Soviet troops and Cuban troops to occupy the country and set up a communist dictatorship. Now, this is admitted by Grathwold in his testimony, and he states in this clip that we'll play in a second that Bill Ayers, who was the leader of the Weather Underground, stated that Americans who would try to resist this communist takeover would be taken to, quote, re-education centres in the Southwest, and asked what he would do with those Americans who still refused to convert to this communist revolution. According to Grathwold, the FBI agent, Bill Ayers said that they would be eliminated, and he went on to say that 25 million Americans who they would take to these concentration camps, these re-education centres, would be killed. And this is a guy that Chris Matthews has defended publicly during an interview and in the aftermath of that interview, as we shall see.